Hi, in today's session, let's explore the question, how do we improve our writing skills for a writing exam? So, there are many different academic writing exams such as the IELTS. This is one example. So, in today's session, we will discuss the strategies that you need to adopt to make sure that you perform in your academic writing tests pretty decently. Now, the first point is to keep it simple. Well, simple done accurately is better than complicated done inaccurately. In simple words, it's better to keep things simple and do it well rather than overcomplicate it or overcomplicate everything and do badly. So, what I would suggest you is, show off your accurate English and not the English that you're not very sure of. Second is, prepare set phrases and keywords. Well, that doesn't mean that you need to make a list of all the phrases, keywords and then start mugging them up and try reproducing that in the exam. No, that's not the point. The idea behind this is that these phrases and keywords might possibly come to your use when time arises. So, I would request you not to rehearse what you're going to write. Okay, that's not the idea at all. You shouldn't do that. You must have a collection of phrases that could possibly help you if time arises. And it definitely would arise. This is something that I have learned from my experience. I made a good list of phrases and keywords, and it really did help me during my exam. The next point is to have linking words prepared for words like, first one, compare. To compare, you could use words like in the same way or at the same time. To contrast, you could say on the contrary, or you could say however. To give examples, you could say for instance or to illustrate. To give your opinion, you could say from my perspective or from my point of view. To generalize, you could say overall or all things considered. To express certainty, you could say undoubtedly, or you could use of course. To express partial agreement, you could say in a way or to some extent. To show cause, you could say owing to or due to. To show effect, you could say for this reason or consequently. To mark time, you could say to begin with or following this. To add information, you could say furthermore or moreover. And to express condition, you could say unless or provided that. And to conclude, you could say in summary or in short. Well, another thing that you need to keep in mind when you practice for a writing test is, these writing tests are considered to be a serious affair, and therefore it's considered formal writing. So, I would suggest you not to use contractions such as can't instead of cannot, or don't instead of do not, shan't instead of shall not, am instead of I am, or gonna instead of going to. Instead, I would say, this takes me to the next point, you should work on reducing your word count. That is, use as few words as possible. And how do you do that? One is by avoiding deadweight words. What are deadweight words? Words like very, so, really, a lot. Then the question is, what do we use instead of them? Well, it is to replace empty words with strong words. For example, instead of saying very, very happy or really, really happy, you could say elated. Or instead of saying so scared, you could say terrified. So, this is how you need to replace strong words with empty words and avoid the deadweight words that follows empty words. The third strategy to reduce your word count is to avoid the use of there is and there are. For example, instead of writing there are many problems that we may encounter, you could always write we may encounter many problems, and that definitely makes perfect sense. So why write unnecessary words? And these are all considered dead weight words. Now, the next point, I want you to keep in mind when you prepare for a writing exam, an academic writing exam, is to read the right kind of documents. For scoring well in academic writing exam, it's important for you to read the right kind of materials. Are they asking you to write articles? Are they asking you to write reports? Are they asking you to write essays? Based on that, you need to read accordingly. So, do whatever you can to familiarize with all kinds of writings that they expect you to do in the exam. I mean, if they are expecting you to, do a notice writing in the exam, then there's no point, in learning the format and phrases and keywords required for letter writing. Therefore, I urge you to prepare with the right kind of materials. The next point is check your work. Well, the key phrases or the key sentences, if you don't check them, you don't see them. What do I mean by them here? Well, if you don't check for errors, you don't see errors in your writing. Write less and check more, and the fewer words, the higher the accuracy. So keep that in mind. In writing exams, what is expected of you is perfection. Rather than having a lengthy essay, I would suggest you to write a short essay which is more precise, accurate, and perfect. And the final suggestion would be to write it and get it checked by someone else. This is, I'm talking about it during the preparation stage. This is something that you can do. Once you are done self-checking, it would be great if you could approach your teachers or friends who are, better than you at writing, or your siblings, or somebody senior to you. You could approach someone who is good at language and who has had the experience of proofreading, and ask them to go through your material and correct your work. In that way, you will have a few inputs from others about your writing, and this can definitely help you improve your writing. So these are the tips and strategies that I would suggest and recommend if you are preparing for an academic written test. So with that, we are coming to the end of the session. I will see you with a different topic on a different day. Until then, stay safe, stay cool. Bye.